People say that relationships always have occasional problems, occasional conflicts, and that is true. Anytime you get two people in a close relationship, there are bound to be the inevitable times when people feel like they aren't heard, or people are arguing, people are having conflicts, maybe about particular things that happened, or beliefs one has, maybe about values. These kinds of things are inevitable to some extent in a relationship. And here's the thing, when we hear the word relationship, a lot of times people automatically think romantic relationship, love, romantic love relationship. But conflicts, actually, we all know, happen in any kind of relationship, a friendship, a family relationship, even a work relationship. They happen all the time. Here's the thing that I want to talk about in this video. I want to talk about the frequency and the intensity of the conflicts. And specifically, I want to talk about arguing. When two people find themselves arguing, whether they're family members, romantic partners, friends, when two people find themselves having arguments with the frequency that feels like too much, feels uncomfortable, or when there are arguments, the emotional tenor, the flavor of it, the character of it sometimes feels too dark, too extreme, too intense. And in your gut, you feel like, wait a minute, should this be happening? All right. This is what I'm going to talk a little bit about in this video. I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist, and this is a relationship issue that affects many, many people. So how do you know when the arguing that you may have with another person is too much? How do you know when it crosses the line into something that is simply unhealthy? One of the ways that you know is when it starts happening too frequently throughout the week. So, for example, if maybe there is a low level argument, maybe once a week, once every couple of weeks, and it lasts just a really short period of time, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's quick and it's done. Well, that's one thing. However, if somebody notices that the frequency of the arguments are becoming a frequent occurrence throughout the week, we're talking, 3, 4 days a week plus. Two people find themselves just at odds in some sort of verbal conflict. That's a problem. What is the purpose of two people being in a close relationship? Again, whether family, friends, romantic, what is the purpose? Is that what we are supposed to do in relationship with each other? Just sort of survive each other, just frequently, almost constantly throughout the week, sort of offload all these negative feelings any one of us might have during the day and just get into conflicts with others? Is that the purpose of relationships? And this also brings up, what is the responsibility of each person, of each adult, to be able to manage their own feelings, to manage their negative feelings? Think about the number of times in a week that something might frustrate you, might make you irritated, angry, even sad. Well, the question is, what as adults do we do when we feel those feelings? Do we deal with it? Do we identify it? Are we honest with ourselves? Whoa, I notice I'm feeling XYZ. And then do we use different healthy adult coping skills to deal with it, to manage it, so that it doesn't necessarily take a toll on the people around us, so we don't negatively impact everybody else's mood? Maybe we're upset. Why does everybody else have to become upset too? So that it doesn't take a toll on the quality of the relationships that we have with other people. If you find yourself in any relationship where the arguing is just feeling like it's too much, the frequency is too much, it's something you have to really look at. Is this a relationship where the two of you can be as close as you are? Is this someone you live with? Well, is this someone that's good for you to live with? Is this a friend that you don't live with, but that you see all the time? Well, is this a friend that you should see as frequently? Again, you have to think about this from a problem-solving perspective. If it's too much arguing, well, then the solution would be to figure out, what changes you need to make so that there are less opportunities for the two of you to get into these conflicts. So, frequency, just happening too much. This is one of the ways that you can know for sure that the arguing is just too much. I also want to talk about the tenor of the argument. So, what happens during the argument? What kinds of things are said? What kinds of things are done? Is anybody getting mean? Is anybody saying anything that's just outright mean? Is anybody saying anything that's cruel? Is anybody saying anything that diminishes the other, shames the other, makes the other person feel bad or wrong or stupid or small? If that's happening, is that the purpose of a relationship? Is that what we all need to be around? Is that what our mental health, if our mental health could talk to us and tell us what it needs, is that what our mental health wants for us? We need to remember if we are around too many negative influences for too long, guess what happens? We start to believe it. We start to believe it and we start to hear negative voices in our heads about what we deserve, about our self worth, and it takes a really negative toll on us. So, if the tenor of the argument is really concerning to you, then you need to look at that seriously. Maybe the frequency isn't that great, but boy, when you do have an argument every couple of weeks, once a month, people fight dirty. People fight cruelly. People get mean. People use previous words against them as leverage. It feels almost sometimes in this kind of conflict like one is out to hurt, emotionally hurt the other, intentionally say things to upset the other to get under their skin. Is that the purpose of close relationships? If a relationship is functioning that way, is that something that should continue? Now, here's the thing. One of the examples that I gave is about family relationships. In family relationships, if an individual is under the age of 18, it is simply not an option unless there's any kind of overt abuse going on that should be reported. Otherwise, really, the individuals in the family need to find a way to make it work. And it's important for people to have social support, to have friends they can talk to, even to seek out a therapist if they feel like that's an option that could help, for them to have a safe space to vent, also to just get ideas about how to deal with it. But for individuals who are in adult relationships that are voluntary relationships where they are able to choose how close they want to be, people really need to ask themselves, wait a minute, again, what is the purpose of this relationship? Why am I signing on for a pattern of repeat arguments, or in a really severe case, arguments where people get mean and fight dirty? It's something that you have to look at. Why? Because your self-esteem needs you to. Our self worth, our self esteem depends on us making choices where we feel emotionally safe in our environments. And so I'm going to wrap up by saying, if you're in a situation, if you're in a dynamic in any kind of relationship with someone where the arguing is just too much, ask yourself, what are some simple things, some simple behaviors that you can change to try to make yourself feel emotionally safer? One example, as I mentioned earlier, is, do you need to spend less time together? Another is, do you need to maybe avoid certain subjects, certain topics of conversation that you know tend to elicit the greatest conflicts? Another example is, ask yourself, do you have proper outlets, physical outlets, to get rid of any kind of aggressive, irritable, angry impulses that are natural to have for any human being? Do you have proper outlets to offload some of that negative bottled up energy inside? Are you a runner? Are you somebody who plays tennis? Are you somebody who can play some basketball? Are you somebody who can swim? Are you somebody who can meditate? The list is endless. But outlets, healthy outlets, are so important. All right. I hope this has been helpful. I also hope that I have some other videos that might be helpful to you on my channel here, Dr. Seth Psychologist. Take good care of yourselves, everybody.